Namaskar to all. I, Pratibha Chaudhary, IRS, Additional Director of Income Tax, Publicity, Directorate of Public Relation, Publication and Publicity, Central Board of Direct Taxes, New Delhi. I extend a warm welcome to all of you to another informative and special episode of Samvad. Friends, today's episode comes at an important moment for India's tax system. With the implementation of the new Income Tax Act 2025 and Income Tax Rules 2026 from 1st of April this year, India has taken a major step towards a simpler and more modern direct tax framework. To make this reform truly accessible to taxpayers, the CBDT recently launched Kar Saathi, a bilingual AI-powered virtual assistant available 24/7 on the department's website, designed to provide clear and easy guidance to the taxpayers. For sharing the details of Kar Saathi, we are honored to have with us today a senior officer under whose stewardship this initiative of Kar Saathi has taken shape, Srimati G. Aparna Rao, IRS member TPSNR CBDT. Ma'am is an 1989 batch Indian Revenue Service officer from Hyderabad, holds a postgraduate degree in political science from the University of Hyderabad and an LLM from Osmania University. She cleared the civil services examination in her first attempt. During her distinguished career, she has served in key positions across investigation, administration and corporate business assessment in Hyderabad, Visakhapatnam, Chennai and Bangalore. Early in her service, she uncovered a major refund scam in Bangalore and later led the Income Tax Department's first ever search operation on a moving train as Deputy Director of Investigation. A trained Veena and Carnatic vocal artist, she was associated with All India Radio in the 1980s and has performed as renowned cultural platforms, including the Tirumala Venkateshwara Temple. She received the CVDT Award for Excellence in Creative Pursuits, Music in 2024. She has also actively contributed to employees' welfare and cultural initiative through the Income Tax Women's Association in Hyderabad, Chennai and Bangalore. We heartily welcome you, ma'am.
Namaskar, Pratibha. Thank you so much. I am really happy to be here.
Simpler law on paper is only half the journey. The real test is whether that simplicity reaches the kitchen table of a salaried employee filing their return at 11 at night, or the desk of a small trader trying to make sense of a notice he has just received. And that is precisely the gap that the next chapter of our reform tries to close. Friends, Kar Saathi, a bilingual AI-powered virtual assistant, a chatbot available round the clock on the department's official website. A trusted tax companion designed to work alongside the taxpayer in plain language whenever a question arises. To help us understand what Kar Saathi truly is, what it sets out to do and what it tells us about the road ahead, it is our privilege to have ma'am today in our Samvad studio.
Thank you, Pratibha. The pleasure is all mine. In fact, the initiatives like Samvad are themselves an important part of the taxpayer service. They allow us to step out from our routine file work and speak and reach out to the citizens and the taxpayers whom we would like to serve.
Ma'am, let me begin with the most fundamental question. Kar Saathi has drawn a great deal of public attention since its launch, and listeners would like to hear it directly from you. In your own words, what exactly is Kar Saathi and what is the vision behind it?
Well, Pratibha, over the last few years, we have seen the widespread impact of AI on all the fields, whether it is education, health, agriculture, etc. So, it is but natural for us as a tax administration system to think of how to use AI in a much better manner to deliver better taxpayer services with speed and accuracy. So, this is where we have come up with the initiative of Kar Saathi. This is an AI powered chatbot hosted on the official website of the Income Tax Department. It is designed to function as a 24/7 virtual tax assistant. Further, it is built to respond in a plain language on the basis of authentic departmental material and to do so in a manner that is consistent, reliable and impartial. At present, it is bilingual, both English and Hindi. The larger vision, of course, Pratibha, is that our vision is to ensure that every taxpayer, irrespective of what he does, what he or she does, irrespective of where they are, they can reach out to Kar Saathi with whatever questions they have. And Kar Saathi is more of a companion, a Saathi, rather than a mere tool.
Thank you, ma'am. The framing of Kar Saathi as the next chapter after simplification of the law is in itself a very useful step. Could I take that forward and ask, in everyday terms, how does Kar Saathi actually help a taxpayer in his or her day-to-day interaction with the tax system?
Certainly, Pratibha, the most distinctive feature of Kar Saathi is that it is conversational. It is not the frequently asked questions page where the assessee just clicks and reads it. The taxpayer can put a question in his or her own words, say how to file a return of income, how to claim a deduction, an exemption, etc., etc. And Kar Saathi will engage with that question. And in case the question is unclear, it will gently ask for a follow-up to understand the situation better, and then only it offers guidance. So, that is how it is a knowledgeable colleague rather than a search engine on a website. And for the routine and recurring matters, the taxpayers earlier had to either approach a tax professional or wait for the office hours to reach a helpline, tax helpline. Now, the Kar Saathi closes that gap quietly, instantly, in plain language and at no cost. That, of course, is a day-to-day impact on the taxpayers.
Ma'am, accuracy is everything in tax matters. A small misunderstanding can have very real consequences for a taxpayer. There are many open sources, AI tools today that will happily answer tax questions. How is Kar Saathi different and how reliable are the answer it provides?
This is a very pertinent question you have raised, Pratibha, and I am glad you have raised it. The reliability of Kar Saathi rests on a very deliberate design choice. The chatbot is not at all permitted to reach out to the open internet. It draws its answers only from a curated corpus of authentic departmental material. The Income Tax Act, the Finance Acts, the rules, the double taxation agreements, the circulars issued by the board, frequently asked questions, etc., etc. That corpus, Pratibha, has been deliberately built, document by document, and continues to be expanded. The consequence of this design is that every response Kar Saathi gives is traceable to an authentic source.
Ma'am, one concern that often arises with any digital initiative is whether ordinary taxpayer will find it easy to use. We are a country with very wide variations in digital comfort. How user-friendly is Kar Saathi in practice?
Yes, Pratibha, we have in fact given a lot of thought to this, and Kar Saathi has been designed to be as simple as a conversation with a friend. There are no logins, no forms to fill before one can log in. One simply visits the official website of the Income Tax Department, and there the assistant is there looking at you. You ask a question either in English or in Hindi, the answer follows.
Ma'am, before we move to a few concluding threads, there is one question that often comes up the moment any AI tools enter public services, the question of data. When a taxpayer types a question into Kar Saathi, what is collected, what is retained, and how should listeners think about privacy here?
Yeah, I'm glad you have raised this question, Pratibha, because the design choice we have made on this point is, in a sense, the foundation on which everything else rests. Kar Saathi has been deliberately built as a no login service. A taxpayer is not required to sign in. There is no requirement to provide any PAN, no requirement to verify identity, no requirement to share any personal details before beginning a conversation. One arrives at the official website of the department, the assistant is there, and one has to simply start typing. That's it.
Ma'am, the profile of the Indian taxpayer today looks rather different from what it did even 5 or 10 years ago. There is a growing constituency of first-time filers, gig workers, freelancer, content creators, small online sellers, people who may never have set foot inside the department. How does Kar Saathi speak to that newer constituency?
This, in my view, is one of the most important reasons why we built Kar Saathi, Pratibha. In fact, if we see a decade ago, the typical first time filers were all salaried taxpayers. But now the world has changed. We see different professionals like the food delivery partners, the freelance designers, social media content creators, individuals running small e-commerce ventures from their homes, etc. So many of them are first generation taxpayers in their families, and many of them do not yet know which return form applies to their case, how a presumptive scheme works, whether their income from a particular source falls under business or under other sources, how to calculate and pay their taxes, etc. So, for these young new professionals, Kar Saathi is definitely a particularly powerful companion. Because these youngsters are digitally fluent, and they always live their professional lives on apps, as we all know.
Ma'am, this is perhaps a slightly different short up question. When a new technology is launched with a great deal of attention, expectations can sometimes run ahead of what the tool is built to do. As member of CBDT, what would you say Kar Saathi is not? What should taxpayer not expect of it?
This is a very pertinent question you have raised, Pratibha. Kar Saathi is a guidance and information assistant. It is not, and it is not meant to be, a substitute for professional tax advice in matters of real complexity. If a taxpayer is dealing with a cross-border transaction, an intricate question of transfer pricing, the structuring of a particular business arrangement, or a litigation matter that has acquired its own factual record, that taxpayer is well advised to consult his or her own a qualified chartered accountant or a tax counsel. Kar Saathi can only help her understand the basic framework, the rules, the procedures, etc. It cannot and should not make a personalized judgment on contested facts.
Ma'am, thank you. If I may try to gather together what you have shared with our listeners today, Kar Saathi is authentic in that it draws only from official sources, reliable because every answer can be traced to a document of the department, bilingual, available 24 by 7 at no cost, and above all, designed not as a replacement of the department's human touch, but as a quiet ally for both the taxpayer and the officer.
That is a fair summary by you, Pratibha, and I would only add one thought to it. The deepest test of any reform is whether the ordinary citizen feels its benefit or not. If from a year from today, a salaried taxpayer feels just a little more confident in filing her return, or a small businessman feels just a little less anxious opening an income tax notice because Kar Saathi was there at the moment she needed it, then we will know that this initiative has done what it is set out to be. That is what we as income tax department, as a tax administration department are working towards, delivering better taxpayer services.
Ma'am, we are truly grateful for your time and enlightening us on such an important topic. Your insights on Kar Saathi have been immensely valuable.
Thank you so much, Pratibha. The privilege has all been mine.
I am truly grateful to our esteemed viewers for their time and patience. Please reach out to our website incometaxindia.gov.in for more information and educational content. Do follow us on our social media handles like X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube and LinkedIn. Please keep watching Samvad. Stay connected to us. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Namaskar. Jai Hind.